Hiya, welcome to my compound life. I'm your host, Jonathan. This is a channel where we build assets, we build habits, great habits. It has to be great habits to manage to stack all of our assets. And of course, we build freedom, and that will be financial freedom for all of us. As you can hear, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so that's why the party last night was pretty amazing. Okay, so that's all good. Um, this morning, right now, it's the 14th of December, around 10:30 morning. So yeah, decided for to sleep a bit late this morning. But anyway, I just thought I'll just drop you guys a daily Bitcoin video just to let you guys know what's going on, right? So it's the Sunday, the 14th. Amazing weather this morning, so I think I'm gonna head out later today, because we don't have such beautiful, nice, warm. I don't know whether it's warm yet, but at least it's very sunny Sunday. So in the UK, in the West Midlands, and I hope all of you guys have a great day too. Right? Let me switch off the heater. So at the time of recording, Bitcoin is at around 89,900 US dollars, right? So it dipped a little bit earlier, maybe like 10 minutes ago. I think it's gone as low as 88,000 maybe. No, 89,800. Okay, so hasn't been that strong of a recovery. Yeah, I think yesterday when I made another video, we were at around 90,000. So it does seem we are forming lower lows, right? So the trend is definitely signaling us that we are still very, very much bearish, okay? So, and also to highlight, I think the reason I need to let you guys know is Bitcoin is currently showing a sign of a bear flag, right? So not a bull flag, but a bear flag. So what is a bear flag? Let me just quickly explain to you. So Bitcoin makes a sharp move down, kind of like a flagpole, right? So price then moves sideways or slightly up, giving the illusion of a recovery. So we've been doing that, like the 92, 93K, but immediately drops down, right? So this consolidation often happens before another leg down, okay? So I want to give you guys an expectation that if another leg down, it will essentially get to about 70-ish K per Bitcoin, right? That's 70,000 USD per Bitcoin, okay? So that's something to look out for. So I'll get into some of the news that potentially would point us lower in just a moment. But this is why I'm making this video to urgently let you guys know what's going on, right? So right now, Bitcoin obviously failed to reclaim previous high, and bounces are weak and very, very low volume, right? Price is consolidating under key resistance of 94,000, so we cannot quite break through it at all, right? So this essentially indicates a very, very bear flag behavior, okay? So of course, this structure suggests more downside risks remain unless Bitcoin breaks back above resistance soon, okay? So based on all of the recent great news or small catalyst news, like the rate cut and stuff, it's not really helping to push Bitcoin price back up, okay? So unfortunately, this is a very, very disappointing video on a Sunday morning. But having said that, I had a good time last night, and also, I guess it's a great Sunday morning, so stop looking at chat, just go out. Just go out, guys. In terms of something to also highlight that will push the Bitcoin price down further in the coming weeks, especially in tomorrow's market open. I think it's the macro risk that many of you probably aware of, right? I did cover in some of the news, a daily Bitcoin update. So that's the Bank of Japan rate hike and bond yields, right? So the Bank of Japan is expected to hike rates next Friday, okay? And this is not good for Bitcoin in the short term, okay? So not good for Bitcoin in the short term. So expect a lot of volatility. And I think it's being reflected in the price right now. So why is Bank of Japan that big of a deal for us that are investing in Bitcoin? Because Japan has the world's cheapest liquidity source for decades. So global investors borrow cheap yen to buy US bonds, US equities, tech stocks, right? So they have the expectation Monday market open from the US, there will be dumps, right? So there has been dumping over Thursday and Friday, all because of this Japanese carry trade things about to explode, right? So, and of course, crypto, including Bitcoin, will all be affected in the short term, right? And I think, you know what, gold, silver will probably do exceptionally well again, right? So what happens when Bank of Japan hikes rates, right? So Japanese bond yield rise, yen borrowing costs increase, so less people borrowing, investor unwind, leverage positions, they'll start selling off, and of course, risk assets get sold to reduce exposure, right? And in a way, this drains global liquidity, right? So this is why US Fed has to print, right? And they have to print a lot faster, right? So I'm hoping with the unwind of the Japanese yen, eventually US Fed print and can make the market recover a lot quicker, right? So that's the whole situation. And why specifically this Japanese unwind actually affect Bitcoin, right? How does it hurt Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin still trades as liquidity, sensitive risk assets, right? People still think it's a risk asset. So I think how Tom Lee previously, positioned Bitcoin is like gold. It has store of value, but sometimes people just treat it as another risk asset too, right? So yeah, I think very likely Bitcoin will be affected quite badly soon. And of course, the rising bond yield pulled money out of speculative assets because obviously Bitcoin, once it's treated as risk asset, it's also being seen as a speculative assets too, right? So when liquidity tightens, Bitcoin struggles to hold rallies. Okay, so historically, Bank of Japan rate hikes have coincided with Bitcoin drawdowns. Okay, so it happened before and it will very likely happen again. So even in bull cycle, this creates short-term sell pressure. So have this in mind, right? This does not end Bitcoin's long-term bull case, right? So if you bought Bitcoin at the high up, right, just hold, don't sell at a loss, right? Just hold, wait until the next cycle or wait until the relief rally comes in because US Fed will be printing more money, right? They know that this is happening. They will not let this collapse their market or economy, right? So this will be a short-term thing, maybe a couple of weeks or months, right? And essentially we're waiting for US to essentially print more. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind, right? But certainly Bitcoin will still have its long-term bullish case. Fundamentally it's very strong, right? But there are just a lot of weakness out there right now. Okay, so don't don't panic sell. It's what I want to say. Okay, so there isn't other much to update apart from, I think, in the UK, UK investors are being cautious ahead of Bank of Japan decision. So that's why I think there will be a lot of volatility even in the UK stocks market. So I do expect some panic selling coming in next week. But many are just waiting for clarity. So I think, do expect some Bitcoin pullback. In terms of US, I don't think there are a lot of news to update. US market are sensitive to global bond yield moves. Institution flows into Bitcoin are definitely slowing down. I think, I've covered a few of that. So watch yesterday's video. In terms of Bitcoin ETF inflow, it was actually a positive inflow for yesterday, right? Well, for the full week, this week, right? That only just gone past, right? So, however, I do anticipate that this amount of inflow will not make Bitcoin to bounce back to its 50 days moving average at any time soon. There's simply just too much sell pressure, right? So the best thing for us to do right now is don't sell, don't buy, right? Unless you're still pretty new to Bitcoin and you felt, you know what, this would be a good entry. Yes, definitely this will be a good entry, but do not go all in, right? So the best thing is pound cost average or dollar cost average during this type of uncertainty, okay? So definitely do not panic sell right now, right? So Bitcoin, there will be a rebound, but certainly it will not be coming in December or even in January. I'm just thinking out loud, maybe much later in January, right? So if you don't need that money right now, right, just hold the portfolio, look at the reds, it doesn't matter, right? You get used to it. You get used to Bitcoin volatility. This is like my third run and I'm totally used to it, right? Got a lot of people asking me, John, are you okay? Right? I'm like, guys, I'm used to this, right? So don't go crazy, okay? And I think technically Bitcoin, I think in summary, right? Technically Bitcoin is forming a bear flag, which is quite negative. 50 days moving average is also dropping. So I think in my pound cost average out, I think I might also reduce that. Maybe by the time we get to about high 94 or 95K, because previously I mentioned, maybe I would start to pound cost average out at around 98,100,000. So I might want to reduce that a little bit so that at least my Bitcoin swing bag, the bag, not my hodl bag. I'm hodling for decades for that, right? But my swing bag, I might de-risk it a little bit, right? Based on all of this macro situation, okay? So macro pressure from Bank of Japan hikes, rising bond yields are definitely not helping the situation, right? So it definitely increased a lot of downside risk, right? But we do have the anticipation that US Fed will have to step in, right? There will be more quantitative easing coming in, right? Although they don't call it quantitative easing for obvious reason. Yeah, so short term expect volatility and potential downside continuation in the coming few weeks. Okay, so bear that in mind. So I think we're just waiting for the bottom now and Bitcoin can reset and rebuild. So yeah, I'm sorry to bring this news upon you guys. Yeah, I hope everyone are well. Hope everyone will still have good Christmas despite the fact that we might not have a Christmas rally for Bitcoin, okay? Apart from that, thanks for watching. Oh, one last thing. Thank you very much for you subscribers. Someone subscribed to me over the past, I think past 1 day, and I'm on 22nd subscriber counts, right? So I'm really chuffed with this. So thank you, and please hit the like, hit subscribe. Even if you don't like the content, just hit like and hit subscribe anyway, right? Help me out. As a small content creator, just definitely need all of this push, okay? So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.